Well, hey, Mama. Jessica Coulter here. We are going to study with Jessie as we wrap up our final series, our final video in the series, I should say, about summer learning. Today is part 5. We're focused on what is it that your teen learned this school year that he or she can then apply to the real world. What are something that your teen learned that can actually help this summer? So let me know what your teen's favorite class was this school year. It can be first semester or second semester. And I ask this because that's generally the easiest place to start is what is it that your teen enjoyed learning, a teacher she enjoyed having, and starting from that class to then look for these connections. That's usually the easiest. But we're going to talk about how exactly to do that, what kind of connections to make here in a minute. Before I do, I want to say thanks for watching on Facebook, on YouTube. Make sure to follow, subscribe, because next week is a whole new series. All right, so you've shared that class hopefully by now, or maybe subject. And I want to start with books, TV shows, and movies. Okay, our teens are going to hopefully read a lot this summer. If not, I really want them to because it makes a big difference for the ACT, SAT, and the science says that we need to be off of the screens. Okay, so definitely recommend that. But not only the reading, but when it comes to that real world connection, there's going to be real things referenced, mentioned, or even the movie book is going to be based on. So have your teen look for those real people that she's learned about. Have him go, we learned about this time period, this history, okay? And maybe it's just something as simple as you all went on vacation on spring break, and then the movie or the TV show is based in a real place that you guys have actually visited. That is connecting something learned, something experienced to, something for entertainment. Okay, so definitely we want our teens to pick up on those connections, especially between the classroom and fun, because one, it lets your teen know, oh, this class really was worth it. This class really was, something that I care about in the future. It also helps your teen remember because your teen's going, oh, we talked about that dude, or oh, that sciencey thing actually has a real purpose, not just something I had to learn for that test. So want our teens to see the connections between the real world, something they learned. And like I said, books, TV, movies, perfect opportunity for that. Okay. Other ideas here, other ways to make those connections are things around the house. Okay. So maybe your teen is going to cook. Okay. Maybe your teen's like me and prefers to bake and not cook. But if it's also like it is here where we are, we don't have the AC on yet. So it's, hot. So not baking much right now. But anyway, there's a lot of math, a lot of science involved in cooking. That's a perfect connection. I can also tell you that if your child is very hands-on, maybe even construction or like home project, DIY kind of related. Do you know the other day I was cutting floor tiles for the kitchen and I really would have liked, I should have said I missed remembering some of those geometry skills, the shapes and the angles and exactly how to cut. Okay, that is a perfect connection right there. Math, geometry, science, even like a shop class, those all relate to the real world. So those are 2 examples for your teens this summer, because the cool thing is if your child remembers, a certain place, a certain concept talked about in class, and then, oh, that's in the same thing in the movie, it doesn't feel like learning, but yet just by talking about it or making that connection, that's learning. Your child actually implementing some of those conversions for the cooking, for the baking, that's also learning. Okay. Another idea I want to share with you. Before I do, I want to pop in and say hey to everybody who's watching or anyone who watches the replays. Do you know, if we have not talked yet, I am Jessica Coulter, the CEO and founder of Study with Jessie and Ace Cookie Tutoring. I help teens love to learn by teaching them how to learn through study skills. If your teen does not love to learn, is not at all interested in school, and like last year, maybe several semesters have been just miserable for you and your teen, I want to talk. Go to the link in my bio, schedule a free talk with Jessie, and be sure to subscribe and follow because there's all sorts of goodies coming your way over the next several weeks, little months and years. All right. So the final thought, final way for your teen to use what was learned in class, apply it to the real world, would be through a new job. Because I got to tell you, for all of my mamas who are watching that, have high schoolers, college kiddos, maybe middle schoolers, but definitely high school and college, your child's probably going to have a job this summer. And pretty much every high school has some kind of personal finance class. I know, schools don't teach near as much as they could about budgeting and money related, but there's going to probably have been some math class, some money class taught in a lot of jobs, especially things like, retail stores, things like fast food restaurants. Those all involve cash handling. And so if your team learns, some things about money and then actually gets to use them in the real world, that's a perfect connection. Do also know when dealing with customers, there are going to be some awesome customers, as you and I probably both know, but your teens don't know yet, and some customers that are a hassle. So, using one of those study skills, soft skills, is something needed for school and for the real world, aka a summer job, let alone any job after graduation. Now, do you know the perfect way for your teen to make this connection is to view classmates as coworkers and to view the new boss as the teacher? Okay, so bosses are teachers because, teacher is the ruler, kind of the leader of the classroom, and then classmates are coworkers because classmates are going to do what they said they're going to do in the group project. Coworkers are going to show up late to shifts. They're going to turn in things. They're going to do what they say. They're not going to help. So definitely your teen practicing leadership, practicing communication, practicing getting along with people that are really awesome, coworkers that don't do what they're supposed to. Those are all really good examples of the real world connecting to classroom. Now, the last thing I will mention here that has anything to do with jobs and your teens and summer learning is some students, and definitely in my Love to Learn Study program, when we talk about self-advocacy, we talk about extra credit and negotiation and how to really handle those kinds of conversation with teachers. Well, if your teen has been, say, like a lifeguard for the last 2 summers, and he's going to get paid the same amount this summer as he did 2 summers ago, well, that's the perfect opportunity to negotiate for higher pay, especially if your teen is like the lead lifeguard. Okay, why should your teen not make more? But your teen knowing how to have that conversation is going to be very similar with the boss as it is with that teacher when your teen is trying to move, from the D to the passing grade or trying to move, into the next letter grade. Okay, if your teen's begging, if your teen's yelling, your teen's demanding, not going to go well with the teacher, let alone the boss. So I hope that helps. Definitely want to hear your thoughts. If you have any questions about summer learning, maybe I didn't cover them in these videos because there were 5. So definitely always happy to do a follow-up video or even a whole new series, part 2, totally okay with that. But remember, I am here to help your teens love to learn. I'm here to help your teens learn how to study. And if you haven't subscribed, haven't followed, definitely do so. Turn on those notifications because I do try to go live at least 4 or 5 times a week. And, I'm always here to answer your questions and meet with you and your teens for Free Talk with Jessie. So have a good weekend, and I'll see you next week.